Welcome to a bonus episode of the BFF College Football Show. Max Chadwick alongside Dalton Wassman. And Dalton, we always know that the award season in college football is one of the best seasons of college football. December is all about trophies, whether it be the conference championships or individual awards. So what we're going to do right now is give out 24 of college football's highest individual honors to who we think should be winning those awards. Now, I want to remind people, this isn't necessarily who's the finalist. If this guy isn't a finalist for the award, he's still eligible to be picked. So
and that's going to be a theme here in a minute.
There are a few of them that we think the winner of the award, and they're not even a finalist for the actual award. So we're going to go over all of the awards right now, but I'm really excited to get into all of it right now.
Absolutely. No, and you mentioned it. Listen, we're using our set of data and what we have and what we've watched all year, and we're going with it. We are our own committee here.
Yes. Yep.
Our own two-man committee, and that's really, some people might like it and some not, but we're going to throw our opinion out there and see where it goes. And if nothing else, if they don't win an actual solid trophy, then they got something from us.
They got the PFF College Football Award.
You're darn right.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so let's go over, starting off with the Frank Broyles Award, which is given to the best assistant coach in college football. For this, we went with defensive coordinator Pete Kwiatkowski from Texas. So really, the reason why we went with him, they lost some really good defensive players, right? Byron Murphy, T'Vondre Sweat both left. Many thought the Texas offense, led by Steve Sarkisian, led by Quinn Ewers, led by the offensive line and the receiving corps, many thought the Texas offense would be carrying the team this year. It's actually the opposite. The Texas defense is what's been carrying the team. Longhorns lead the nation with a 94.6 defensive grade this year, and a negative .314 EPA per play is easily the best in college football as well. So I think we should have went with Pete Kwiatkowski, and he should win this award because for a defense that not a lot of people thought would be this good, they are the best in America right now. And the fact that the head coach, Steve Sarkisian, is an offensive guy, it made it a pretty easy call to make Pete Kwiatkowski the winner of this award.
Spectacular defense, and look, the highest graded defense in college football. And when you think about the circumstance of what was the weakest part of Texas' team last year, the secondary, now they have arguably the best secondary in football, right?
Yeah.
With Malik Muhammad, with Jahdae Barron, with Andrew Makuba coming over from Clemson.
Michael Taffy's played really well.
Michael Taff's played really well. You've got the defensive line, Alfred Collins, you lost Sweat and Murphy, like you mentioned. And look, they're one of the teams with a three-layer defense. They've only given up 140 points all season. I mean, that's just ridiculous, first of all. Barely, not even 13 points a game. I mean, what they've done on defense, their defense is good enough to carry them to a national title. They just need the offense to give them enough. But Kwiatkowski's done just a great job with it. They're in the argument for the best defense in college football, absolutely.
So let's go to the next award, Dawn, the Home Depot Coach of the Year Award, which, as you can tell, is the best head coach in college football. So who's winning that award?
Well, you might not like it, and you might not believe in all of our metrics, and I get the schedule was a little softer than some of the other playoff contenders, but you got a team going to the playoffs that was certainly not supposed to be going to the playoffs, and the highest graded team in college football is the Indiana Hoosiers, the national coach of the year for us, and quite possibly the favorite to win it is Curt Cignetti. I mean, you talk about taking a team, that had a lot. They built this whole team through the portal, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it from James Madison, big time key players, Mikael Kamara, Jalen Walker, Elijah Surratt, D'Angelo Pons, great football players. They had a great team at James Madison last year, and he built a spectacular defense. Got Curtis Rourke from Ohio, who had one of the best quarterback seasons of anybody in the country this year. They can run the ball with two good backs. They got four good receivers, and I still believe. I know, despite the loss to Ohio State, and everybody goes, "Oh, they're frauds," and they prove that they're not anything. That's not true at all. I think they're going to be a serious threat to whoever they play in the playoffs. And Ohio State, yeah, it's a different level of football, but I think that's going to harden them even further. But regardless of what goes on in the playoffs, Curt Cignetti's done a spectacular job and deserves this award.
And they're just a complete team overall. They're second in offensive grade, second in defensive grade, second in offensive EPA per play, and second in defensive EPA per play as well. All around, Indiana has been an incredible team this year. Curt Cignetti, very deserving of winning Coach of the Year after going 11-1, making the playoff. And the 3 years before that, Dalton, before he got hired, they were 9-27. So he has more wins in year one than Indiana did in the previous 3 years combined, which is nuts. So Indiana and Curt Cignetti winning the Coach of the Year award. Joe Moore Award, given to the best offensive line in college football. We went with the Texas Longhorns. They lead the nation with a 95.2 pass blocking grade this year, 6 points higher than any other offensive line in the FBS. Also sixth in the Power 4 among offensive lines with an 80.7 run blocking grade. 11.6% pressure rate allowed is fourth in America. And really, Dalton, one of the biggest reasons why we picked them as well, they played Michigan, Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas A&M, even more other schools you could look at as well. Some elite defensive lines, and he's still graded out as one of the best in college football, if not the best in college football.
Well, that was the big question, right? Texas is coming into the SEC, and Texas, Oklahoma coming in this year. Well, are they ready for SEC trench play? Texas absolutely was ready. When you look at Kelvin Banks, a potential first-round pick, Cameron Williams, a potential first-round pick, the interior guys are really good too. So Texas, that offensive line, the defense is great, and that O-line just allows the rest of the offense to do what they do, right? I think I agree with that. Best unit in college football this year. They have so much talent. They execute at such a high level. All right. We're going to the Burlsworth Trophy now. The best player in the country.
I love this award.
It's a great award. It always highlights a guy who they had to earn it, right? They had to earn it. And we're going to go with a guy who earned the highest grade of any linebacker in the FCS. Let's go to the University of Buffalo. A guy,
FBS.
FBS.
Yeah.
My bad.
Don't sound short.
I don't want to annoy anyone in the FCS. I've done that before. Sean Dolak from the University of Buffalo, 92.2 overall grade. This guy I highlighted in our review show a couple weeks ago, had 2 interceptions in a game a couple weeks ago. Just a spectacular all-around football player. And this is after the Buffalo Bills undrafted. They got a guy, Joe Andreessen, who was Dolak's teammate last year, who's an NFL player. He's a good special teams contributor for him. He's played a little bit on defense. He was an underrated player, and Dolak might even find himself drafted. 5 interceptions. You've got a guy who's only missed 6 tackles all year and made a combined 143, which is ridiculous. 5 sacks. Again, highest graded linebacker in college football, and again, working his way up from being a walk-on to what he's done for Buffalo. He's a guy who should be on draft radar. Sean Dolak from the University of Buffalo with the Burlsworth.
Yeah, the best player who started his career as a walk-on, Sean Dolak, has had an incredible year. An argument for him to win the Butkus Award as well. He didn't actually win the Butkus Award for us, but this is a very good argument. He deserves the Butkus Award for how good he's been this year. All right, next award is the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year Award. It's obviously the best freshman in college football. We went with Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver from Ohio State. So he was the highest rated wide receiver ever coming out of high school, so it really wasn't a big surprise that he was already a superstar in the nation. He led all true freshmen with 930 receiving yards and 10 touchdown catches this year. He was the 8th most valuable receiver according to PFF's wins above average metric. Dalton, he is the only true freshman who's in the top 10 of their position this year. So Jeremiah Smith, by all accounts, has played like a top 10 receiver in college football in his very first year of college football, and in a year we saw other star receivers as freshmen as well, and Ryan Williams and everyone else, and Ryan Wingo and all that. Jeremiah Smith is still a step above, feels like, everyone else right now.
2 things. One, did he break Chris Carter's freshman receiving record at Ohio State? And 2, dare we say the Biletnikoff favorite going into next year?
I would say he's probably the best receiver in the country going into next year.
I would think so, but a lot of things and numbers and all that got to shake out. But no, he's just incredible. That kid's a freak of nature, no question. And the best of just an insane true freshman receiver class. We've said it over and over. 2027 is going to be a lot of fun at that position.
Ryan Williams would have won this award any other year, right? Like he had an incredible year himself, but it's just Jeremiah Smith's just an alien.
And they're not the only two. I mean, you got some freaks. But let's talk about special teams for a second. We have to talk about the BYU Cougars because you know what? I thought they had a really balanced team. That was a big-time part of why they went 10-2 this year, had all the success. Just missed out on the Big 12 title game, tiebreakers. It is what it is. But let's talk about the Johnny the Jet Rogers Award for the best returner in the country. BYU's Keelan Marion, the only Power 4 player with multiple return touchdowns this season. 18 returns this year, 10 forced missed tackles.
Yeah.
Dangerous player, a big reason why BYU was successful, getting them good field position, scoring those touchdowns. When you have good special teams, it makes a big difference, right? It can turn games upside down, and BYU had that all year, and Marion was a big reason for it.
Absolutely. Another special teams award here with the Ray Guy Award, the best punter in college football. We give it to Brett Thorson from Georgia, 93.3 punting grade this year, over 3 points higher than anyone else in the country, led the nation with an average hang time of 4.53 seconds, and his average net yardage of 44.2 yards was 4th in America as well. So Brett Thorson was pretty obviously, by the grading, the best punter in college football this year.
No, I agree, and he was terrific last year. I think he just missed out on this behind James Burnett from Alabama last year, but Thorson he had no punts returned last year, and this year, is it 1? I think I'd have to look at it. It's something.
Might have updated, but yeah.
I know there was at least 1. At one point in the year, we looked at this, and it was 1, I think, for like -4 yards, which is just ridiculous how good he is at disallowing returns, and that's a big part of it, especially a big part that that goes into our punt grading. That's a big deal. But let's go to the Groza Award for kickers. Let's keep it on special teams here. And, our guy Ben Lindsay is going to be real proud of us for this one, right? The highest graded kicker, field goal kicker in the country at the University of Pittsburgh, Ben Sauls, 18 of 21 on his field goals, hit all 41 of his extra points, 5 of 6 beyond 50 yards. And boy, does it feel like we're getting more and more kickers that can hit these 50, 55, 60-yard kicks even.
Yep.
Did we see somebody from Temple hit like a 64 or something like that?
Yeah.
But Ben Sauls, extremely consistent, 95.5 field goal grade this year, led the nation. University of Pittsburgh should be proud of their special teams as well.
Another Ben from Pittsburgh, right? That we mentioned Ben Lindsay and now Ben Sauls as well.
They're the best. Ben Roethlisberger?
From the Steelers, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
see?
so it counts a little bit.
If you're from Ben and you're in Pittsburgh.
Plays at Acrisure, I guess. Yeah, they both played Acrisure. Yeah,
you're getting it done in that stadium if your name is Ben.
Not an easy stadium to kick at either.
Oh, not at all. Notoriously hard to kick.
With Ohio River kind of.
Hell, between him and Chris Boswell, what a year for kickers it is in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
man,
absolutely.
Man.
All right, so we're going to combine these two right here. This isn't the last time we're going to talk about this guy. The Paul Hornung Award, which is given to the most versatile player in college football, and the Jim Thorpe Award, given to the best defensive back in college football. Pretty easily Travis Hunter for at least the Hornung Award for this because, listen, they're going to rename this award probably in 80 years after Travis Hunter. Like, he is the definition of versatility. He might be the most versatile player we've ever seen in college football. And then, obviously, the Defensive Back Award, Dalton, it was close between him and Janae Barron, but Travis Hunter leads the nation among all corners with a 90.9 coverage grade this year, 42 passer rating allowed, 4 interceptions are tied for third in the Power 4. Right now, by the grading, Travis Hunter is the highest graded corner in coverage this year. So Travis Hunter got the Jim Thorpe Award, and he got the most versatile player in the country award. And there might be a bigger one at the very end of this that we're going to give it to him as well.
I mean, just to throw some of the coverage stuff into context, because there's all sorts of directions we could take with Travis Hunter, but 7 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. Don't forget the game-winning forced fumble against Baylor, too, in run defense. Allowed 22 catches, 205 yards, and 1 touchdown. The 1 touchdown to, I think, Dorian Singer against Utah.
Yes.
It's the only touchdown he allowed all season. I mean, if there's still anybody out there who thinks Travis Hunter is just some average player playing 2 positions, not the case at all. Best corner in the country. It's unbelievable.
And he's a Biletnikoff finalist. And he should have been a Thorpe finalist. I agree. At the very least, a Thorpe finalist, and that's where we get this here of like, look, he's a freak of nature, and he shows it at 2 different spots. You mentioned the Hornung Award, redefining versatility and maybe making us think it's possible for more guys to do this if they're as freakish as he is. I mean, listen, like I said, he won this Hornung Award in like week 2. It was like, oh, he's a wrap. He won the Hornung Award. Like, as long as he stayed healthy for like 2 or 3 games, like, yeah, he's winning the Hornung Award. Yeah, like,
sure. Over 1,400 snaps or something.
Yeah, it was just like, come on, like that's literally the Travis Hunter Award right there. And the Jim Thorpe Award. I mean, this is why we started at the top saying, hey, some of these awards, our winner isn't actually a finalist for it. This is one of them where you think, hey, the winner of this award should have been in there, and he's not even a finalist for it. So this is one where you disagree with the Thorpe Award and who they decided to make the finalist. But Don, your next one's the Buckus Award, the best linebacker in college football.
Okay, so if you want good defenders, one reliable place to look is the University of Iowa, and we know they've got great defenders at all 3 levels. But I got to highlight a linebacker who was great last year with an 89.4 overall grade, and even better this year with a 90.7 overall. Jay Higgins for Iowa, number 34, led the nation in coverage grade. 2nd straight year with a coverage grade over 90. 93.9 coverage grades. Gives you shades of Jack Campbell when he was there, and then he got taken in the 1st round, right? Tackling machine. I mean, just absolute stud. 4 interceptions, 2 more pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles. He's just a do-it-all middle linebacker for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and a guy I don't think we've talked about enough for the draft, and it's considered to be kind of a weak linebacker class, but there's a chance that Jay Higgins is just the best one out of all of them, honestly. He's so fundamentally sound, run defense and coverage, and that's how they make him over there at Iowa. Another great season for Higgins. We'll take him for the Buckus Award.
He really might be LB1 of the draft, the more I think about it. Like, he has just been playing great football for 2 years now.
Just every single week with him, right? It's like every week you watch him and you go, oh, yeah, he's doing something right. Every week, it just feels like he can do no wrong, and that's how those Iowa guys are. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes.
One guy who I think will be Edge 1 in the NFL draft wins the Ted Hendricks Award given to the best defensive end in college football. That is Abdul Carter from Penn State, currently a top 5 prospect on PFF Big Board for the 2025 NFL Draft. He was the most valuable edge defender in the nation, according to PFF's wins above average metric. He was 4th among all edge defenders with a 91 pass rushing grade. The crazy thing about it, Dalton, he played his first 2 years at Penn State at off-ball linebacker. This is his first year as a full-time edge defender. His first game was against West Virginia and Wyatt Milam, who's one of the best tackles in the country. Wasn't as great, but week 2 and on, he turned it on, dude. Became maybe the best edge in college football. And actually, I would say the best edge in college football, which is why he wins the Ted Hendricks Award right now for the best defensive end in the country.
All right, we're going to go to an award near and dear to your heart, the Remington, the nation's best center. And this was a tough one. We had some debates about this with the grades. But I'll tell you, one thing that makes us lean towards our winner here is schedule. And we've talked all year from beginning to end about the Florida Gators and their brutal schedule. And they managed to go 7-5 through it, right? There were times where it was bumpy, but tell you what, they managed to make a bowl game. But their center, Jake Slaughter, managed to be the highest graded center in the Power 4, 4th best in the FBS, despite having to play Miami, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss.
All have stud defensive tackles.
All of them with stud defensive lines and defensive tackles. I mean, there's first-round picks littered in that group of teams. And he only managed to give up 8 pressures all season. 8 pressures and 1 sack all year. Only 3 games with a pass blocking grade below 75. Just a terrific football player. Jake Slaughter for the Florida Gators. More than maybe anybody on that Florida Gators team. Props to you for getting through that schedule and still being the highest graded center in the Power 4. That's incredible when you consider that slate that he had to play against.
Yeah, led the Power 4 in run blocking grade, and like I said, he was excellent as a pass blocker as well. He's getting really underrated for the NFL draft. I think in the consensus board, he's like not even a draftable player. He's like a UDFA in the consensus. I would think he might be ended up being like a day 2 pick for me.
If you're anything near productive against that slate of defensive lines, you have to at least get a legitimate look.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I might have him as one of the top interior offensive linemen in the draft.
I mean, all those teams we just mentioned, there might be first-round D tackles on almost all of them.
I think we found one of our guys for the draft.
Might be.
One of the guys that we are so much higher on than anyone else.
I need to dig in on more on this interior offensive line class in the coming weeks, and he's going to be a guy we take a hard look at because it just I don't even know, for as much as, again, the Gators schedule was hard, he had the hardest schedule of all of the Gators. That's nuts.
Walter Nolan, Shamar Stewart, Deion Walker, Omar Norman Lott, Alfred Collins.
All the Georgia guys.
Alfred Collins. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
J.J. Keys, obviously. Dude, it's insane what his schedule was. So, listen, I originally was looking at Jacob Gardner, the Colorado State center, because his grade was like 7 points higher than anyone else, and he led the nation in pass blocking grade and run blocking grade. And usually that would win this, but when you look at Slaughter and just contextualize it with the schedule, it's like, dude, that's nuts what he's doing.
8 pressures all season.
Yeah.
Against all those teams.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Absolutely. So next award we're going, actually, let's combine these two right now because they're both going to the same guy. The Lombardi Award for the best lineman in the country and the Outland Trophy given to the best interior lineman in the country. Kind of the same award in some respects. But we'll go with Mason Graham from Michigan. And we'll actually save the analysis for this one, Dalton, because we have a bigger award to give to Mason Graham very soon. So let's go to the next award, which is, what is it? The John Mackey Award. Who's winning the Mackey Award?
Boy, this is going to be a hot topic of discussion when you talk about the 2 guys really in contention for it. And props to Colson Loveland. I think he was the other finalist for this. Is that right? And he's not going to win it. It's going to be one of 2 guys. It's going to be Harold Fannin or it's going to be Penn State's
Tyler
Warren. Thank you. I don't know why I drew blank on that. Of all the times I forgot about Tyler Warren, but we're going to go with Fannin here. And it's tough. And I know everything Tyler Warren does, and he's done it at the highest level. There's been times where he's carried that Penn State offense, but Harold Fannin Jr. at 1,342 receiving yards. Is he still leading all players in YAC for the season?
He might be, yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. He's single-handedly darn near got Bowling Green to the MAC title game, came up one win short of that. 95.8 PFF grade, highest of any offensive player in college football.
Higher than any player, period.
Any defensive player, too? That is just – that's just ridiculous. And we've said this before, too. It's not like, did he pick on the MAC for most of the year? Sure, but tore up Penn State in a matchup against Warren. They were ahead at halftime in that game, weren't they? They had, I think, a 20-6 lead in that game.
Yeah.
Tore up Texas A&M, an elite defense when he played them. Harold Fannin Jr. is the real deal. I think he's one of the top 3 tight ends in this upcoming NFL draft, and the numbers and the grading just say, you know what, it's hard to deny his case to win the Mackey. And again, Tyler Warren is spectacular.
Yeah.
Any other year, Tyler Warren would win it, at least for us. But
run away with
Harold Fannin's just an amazing football player over there at Bowling Green.
So if he plays in the bowl game, which is not guaranteed, but if he does play, he is currently 10 yards away from the current single-season record set by Jason Marrow in 2013 for Texas Tech. He has the record is 1352 for receiving yards. He has 1342 right now. And then, like you said, I wanted to point out that the Penn State and Texas A&M game, In those 2 games combined, 94.1 receiving grade, 282 receiving yards in those 2 games against 2 elite defenses. So for anyone saying, okay, well, listen, Tyler Warren's doing it against Big Ten competition. He did it against Penn State and Texas A&M, who are 2 elite defenses. He had 282 yards, averaged 141 yards a game, and a 94.1 receiving grade as well. He's not just picking on the MAC schools. He could do this against legitimately almost anyone in the country. So that's why we went with him for the Mackey Award.
Absolutely.
All right, Biletnikoff Award. Best receiver in college football. We almost went with Taro Fenton Jr. again. I really thought about it here. But
I think he should have been a finalist.
Yeah, he should have been. Absolutely should have been.
Because I think it was, McMillan, Hunter, and Nick Nash from San Jose State. I think you could have argued Fenton as a finalist, maybe even over Hunter. And Hunter had a great year, but Fenton, that's just ridiculous numbers for a tight end to put up. But anyway, go on with the winner.
Yeah, I got Tedero McMillan from Arizona. One of the few things that went right for Arizona, and unfortunately went wrong for us this year because we were wrong. They were 4-8 this year when we both picked them to win the Big 12, so not great by us. But Tedero McMillan was a superstar like we did predict.
And I did pick him to win the Biletnikoff.
You did. You got that.
You took Burden and I took McMillan.
You did.
I remember that.
You did. He led the Power 4 this year with 1,316 receiving yards, 18 contested catches, were tied for most in the Power 4. Also, Dalton, something that we didn't really see too much of last year, he became an unreal yak receiver. He broke 28 tackles on catches this year. That was 3rd among all receivers in the nation. So you're talking about a 6'5" X receiver who can go up and get it with the best of them. He obviously led the Power 4 in receiving yards, and all of a sudden he added a yak element to his game as well. Yes, it was a very disappointing year for Arizona, but it was really all of Arizona but Tedero McMillan. He was still an absolute superstar, and for us, he was still the best receiver in college football this year.
I knew he was a special player when I got Trevor Sikkema to agree that there's a Mike Evans comp here. I knew that because Trevor of all people. Yeah. Trevor of all people is not comparing anybody to Mike Evans, and when we finally agreed on that one, I was like, oh, okay, this guy, he must be pretty darn good because you don't just people in Tampa don't just go comparing anybody to Mike Evans, and Trevor's obviously a diehard Bucs fan. But tell you what, I just thought of it now. 2 in a row I have right here as we move to the Doak Walker. I had Ashton Jeanty winning in this award in the preseason, and this is probably the easiest pick out of any of these awards.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Easily.
Oh, the Horning Award.
That too, yeah.
That was, that might be the easiest one,
that versatility works too. But anyway, Doak Walker Award, runaway, no question, unanimous, no matter what committee it is. Ashton Jeanty, Boise State, 1 win away from the playoffs, 97.1 rushing grade, PFF record. 1,695 yards after contact and counting. There's a chance he puts up 2,000 yards after contact, which is silly considering the previous record in the PFF college era is 1,355 by Jonathan Taylor and 123 missed tackles forced and counting when the previous record is 104 from Bijan Robinson. Ashton Jeanty, an all-time great season. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. And he's still got 1 and maybe even 2 and maybe even 3 and maybe even 5. I don't know if he ever carried him all the way to a title. I don't know what, but anyway, that's probably, we don't think that's happening, but you never know. Either way, Jeanty, one of the superstars of college football this season, Doak Walker Award winner, runaway, no question.
If he gets 2,000 yards after contact, there's only been 30 running backs in college football history that have had 2,000 rushing yards in a season. If he get 2,000 yards after contact, that'd be ridiculous.
I wouldn't put anything past him at this point. He's done everything he told us he was going to. Is he actually? I need the update too. Is he at 2,500 total yards yet? How close are we to that? Because remember what he told us.
He's at 2,288 rushing yards. I don't know how many. I don't think he has enough receiving yards for that yet.
Probably not, but he's gonna get there. He really told us in that interview back then he's gonna put up 2,500 total and 20 touchdowns. Yeah. I think he's gonna do it with like 30 touchdowns.
He has 28 touchdowns right now. Yeah. For rushing touchdowns, I don't even know if he has receiving touchdowns.
It's just silly. I mean, it's just what he's done this year. We may not see it for a while again. It's just ridiculous.
He has 340 more yards after contact than anything we've ever seen before. And the last record was held by Jonathan Taylor. And then he has 19 more broken tackles than the previous record, which is Bijan Robinson. And keep in mind, like you said, at least one more game we're going to see from Ashton Jeanty. So also his yards after contact, 1,695, are more than any other running back in the country's rushing yards this year. So he has more yards after contact than anyone else in America has rushing yards. Just Stupid
There's
stuff.
only so many things we can say before you just shake your head and go, yeah, he's going to go in the first round also.
Yep.
I mean, we've all been connecting him to Dallas, but he's going somewhere in the first round. We know that.
Very easy award to hand out right there. This was a little more difficult, but we gave the Davey O'Brien Award, which is given to the best quarterback in the nation, to Cam Ward from Miami. Obviously, launched himself up draft boards. Going to probably be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft right now. Could even be the top 3 pick in the NFL draft, the way it's looking right now. Led all the nation with a 92.6 PFF grade. Led the nation with 36 passing touchdowns as well. Second in the country with 4,123 passing yards. 28 big-time throws, tied for third among all signal callers in college football. It was a really good year for quarterbacks. There's some really good quarterbacks to look at outside of this. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is up there as well. Dylan Gabriel as the quarterback for the number 1 team in the country. But we thought that Cam Ward had probably the best year of anyone. And he was relied on so much by Miami.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame that we don't get to see this offense in the playoff, right, in all likelihood, unless the committee changes their mind, which is unlikely to happen, right? And there's other debates to be had about that, but Cam just carried this team as far as he possibly could this year, right? Even in the game that they just lost to Syracuse, It was 42-38, and it's just Miami's defense was the issue.
They never lost because of him.
This season from Cam Ward. Could this season have gone any better from Cam Ward at all? I mean, when you talk about, 10-2 and they didn't make the playoffs and all that, but man, oh man. Just what a season. What a season Cam had, second in the nation in passing, and looking like he's going to be possibly a top 5 pick in this draft, and he set himself up with it this year. It's just been incredible to watch with him.
Absolutely. So let's go with the best defensive player in college football. Who are we going for that award?
Boy, we're just sweeping the awards for this guy. The Bednarik, the Nagurski, you mentioned the Outland earlier. Look.
Lombardi award we gave him too?
Lombardi, we got everything. And honestly, behind Travis Hunter, I'm going to seal up a top 100 here at some point, in the next month or two. I think Mason Graham would be number 2 for me behind Travis Hunter. He's so good. Led all interior defensive linemen with a 92.4 run defense grade. 34 pressures was third most. It feels like, to me, I think he's the safest pick in this draft. Even more than Hunter, because we're trying to figure out what to do with Hunter at NFL level. I feel like it's a borderline guarantee that Mason Graham is going to be a top 10 defensive tackle in the NFL. He's so good.
He's a Pro Bowler.
Run defense, pass rush. We've seen him take over games both ways. We've seen him do it in crunch time in the playoffs. We just saw him lead the biggest upset in Michigan-Ohio State history, but between him and Kenneth Grant dominating Ohio State's offensive line and pulling off that upset, holding Ohio State to 10 points in that. That's ridiculous. I mean, Mason Graham, best defensive lineman in the country, best defensive player in the country. For me, I think the second best draft prospect in this draft. Mason Graham's just ridiculous, and we've seen him do it. Big number 55 for Michigan, deserves every ounce of credit we can give him. He's just incredible.
And not a lot went right for Michigan this year. The only thing that did, they had the best D-line in the country once again, and they would not have had that without Mason Graham. I mean, he almost won that game against Ohio State single-handedly.
He's incredible. I mean, there is just, I don't know what holes I can poke in his game.
No, he's truly special, and by far the most valuable D tackle in the country according to our wins above average metric as well. That was another thing that really went into it, is looking at the wins above average metrics, and like a lot of the positions were pretty close. It was like Mason Graham, and the next D tackle was like way down there. I was like, okay, yeah, that's the difference right
That'll
there. So
do it.
Mason Graham was the winner of the best defensive player in college football. But the final one we're talking about, the big one. Actually, not the biggest one. Not the final one we're talking about. The biggest one's coming out very
around here. We got one more big one. Hold on, we got another one.
Outside of the PFF studios, the biggest one is obviously the Heisman Trophy / the Maxwell Award, given to the most outstanding player in college football. It's been a very hotly debated one on X, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Everyone is picking a side. Everyone is going to war in the comment sections over who should win it. We went with Travis Hunter, the wide receiver / cornerback from Colorado. Simply put, the greatest two-way player we've ever seen in college football. The greatest. Leads the Power 4 with 14 receiving touchdowns. 1,152 receiving yards. Only Tedero McMillan has more receiving yards in the Power 4. 86.2 offensive grade. That is 5th among all wide receivers in college football. On defense, 90.9 coverage grade, like we said before. Leads the nation among all corners. 42 passer rating allowed. 8th among all Power 4 corners. 4 interceptions, tied for 3rd among all Power 4 corners. Dalton, I was watching a highlight reel made, I believe, by Sick Addis, who does a great job with highlight reels. And he put out a Travis Hunter video. And as I was watching it, I was like, what am I even watching? what am I even watching right now? Like, it was
it's like Spider-Man.
It literally was like,
it's silly.
60-yard receiving touchdown. Oh, interception. Oh, pass breakup. Oh, 80-yard receiving. It's like, dude, this is like the most insane thing I've ever watched before.
The same person.
And it's just,
what are we doing?
You got to remind yourself, like, this is insane. This has never been done before. Ginty was unbelievable. Ginty, what he did is one of the most historic running back years we've ever seen in any other year.
And still going.
He's still going. Any other year, he would run away with the Heisman Trophy. Not this year. Because we have never seen Travis Hunter before, and we may never see him again. And for anyone out there saying snap count's not a stat, sure, take away the snap count, even though you shouldn't, because it's really impressive that he's playing that many snaps to begin with. Take away the snap count. He's still a top 5 receiver in the country. He's still maybe the best cornerback in the country as well. I don't understand the context that's being lost with people with Travis Hunter.
You
when it's like,
you know what it is.
I know. Well, I'm just.
You know what it is.
It's the Colorado thing. But the context was like, well, he's not the best at either one of them, so why should he win the Heisman? It's like, how do you not get it through your head that he's top 5 at both? That's insane.
He might be number 1 at both.
And the fact that we're even talking about him in the NFL playing both, like, this is, I have, my take is, I think this is one of the greatest college football players we've ever seen.
This was at the college, this is stuff you see in high school. He did what elite high school, what 5-star guys do in high school on both sides of the ball, he did in college.
Yeah.
This isn't supposed to happen at this level. It's not supposed to happen at the next level. And there's talk of like, oh, he could try to do it at the next level.
I know people are trying to bash him right now. My take is this is one of the greatest Heisman seasons we've ever seen.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this season from Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Like in the Cam Newton, Joe Burrow seasons. Like, dude, remember how ridiculous that was?
And also, I've seen takes too. Well, if he's so great, why are they 9-3? Don't stop. Football's a team sport. Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious how many more nails you could put in Eli's coffin with that speech right there.
Sorry, Eli. Look, dude, listen, if you want to vote for Ginty, I get it. He really was that special this year. But my whole take is I just think Travis Hunter is one of the greatest college football players we've ever seen.
You're darn right.
Like, it's just crazy.
I got nothing against that. No,
yeah.
I mean, the only game where he didn't look like an elite player was last year when they played Stanford.
Yeah.
And Elikai Manor teed off on him. But other than that, he's been basically the best player.
Was he? That was his first year game off injury, wasn't it? Too?
Yeah, Might it was. Been. Yeah, because after the cheap shot and all that. Yeah, you're right.
All right, biggest award, Dalton.
One more. I get to do the whole.
Yeah, you do.
I guess right. Sure. I have to do the whole rant for it. That's right. I'm almost legally obligated to do it. Okay, we've got a new award that we're creating only exclusively on this show because somehow in the list of all of the college football awards, and there's a million of them, there is not a most improved player award.
Yeah.
So we have a namesake for the award. It comes exclusively from us. This is the inaugural PFF Jake Retzloff Most Improved Player Award. And if you don't know the story by now, you haven't been watching this show, there is the graphic, the preseason graphic that I put up that Jake Retzloff, BYU's starting quarterback, used all season when I ranked him in the preseason as the last-ranked quarterback in the Big 12, and he mentioned to me 68th or 69th out of all 70 in the Power 5, right? And sometimes you have to be dead wrong and just eat it. And now there's a whole new award for it. So let's get a context for it. This is real. Jake Retzloff, his overall grade improved from last year by 35 points, most of any quarterback in the country, from 48.3 to 83.3. He was a primary reason BYU went 10-2, was in the playoff race, darn near was in the Big 12 title game. Tiebreakers be what they are, close losses to Arizona State and Kansas, but we're calling it right now the first ever PFF Jake Retzloff Most Improved Player Award goes to Jake Retzloff. So that is sticking. We're probably going to need to get a trophy made. We'll have to send it to Jake, maybe even for his approval if he doesn't like it.
We got to get back on the show.
If the trophy is as bad as my projections, then we might need a new one. We will figure that out.
We got to do a trophy with the graphic on the trophy, like a.
Oh, that's brilliant. What if it's just him holding up his phone?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it right there. That's out. You got it.
I don't know if we have the budget for that kind of stuff. Maybe we print out the picture and maybe paste it to the
I just
trophy.
Damn near maxed out my credit card on AC/DC tickets. This will be the next thing. I will pay for the making of the Jake Retzloff trophy. The Jake Retzloff Award is alive.
Please tell me you saw the video yesterday of his sponsorship with Manischewitz.
That's awesome.
Dude.
Kidding me?
Oh, my God. It's so good. It's so good.
Sometimes the world is a just
the BYU and the Manischewitz is just the perfect combination.
He is
the Jewish food company, by the way, if nobody knows who that is.
He's just It's really amazing what happened there at BYU this year between him being their quarterback and after struggling in 3 or 4 starts last year and taking that team to the heights they did, and we're pretty sure he's going to come back to school for another run at it. They're going to be one of the favorites in the Big 12 walking in next year. They're not going to be looked at as underdogs. That's for darn sure. I mean, they're going to be out to prove that despite tiebreakers and all that they're the best team in the Big 12. It's going to be fun to watch next year too.
Absolutely.
Got to get that trophy made though. We got to figure that out.
We got to figure it out. We got to get him back on the show as well.
Absolutely.
So anyone who doesn't know, we actually interviewed Jake as well. Not only was he terrific on the field, he was, I think, by far our best interview we've ever done. He was
great.
Just talking shit to Dalton, and it was just like we were having a great time on that interview. He was an awesome guy to talk to, and hope we get him on again and talk about the Jake Retzloff Award and who he might want to give it to next year.
I'd be curious. We'll have to find out.
Where are you gonna have him in the rankings this summer? You know,
I'm thinking in my head, but he's probably top 10 or 15. It's in the
country, yeah.
Yeah,
not in the Big 12. No, in the country.
Yeah, not top 15 in the Big 12. I got you, Jake. Don't worry. No, I haven't even thought about getting it next year yet because we got so much to do left for the draft and all that. But he's going to be high up there. Don't you worry, because he went and proved it all year this year.
So the Jake Retzloff Award going to Jake Retzloff. It would have been so funny if we made the Jake Retzloff Award and gave it to someone else in the first year. But we had to give it to Jake Retzloff, obviously.
Oh, he would have found a way to get our show canceled.
Oh yeah, no, he would have. No, actually, he would have loved it. But it would be like another chip on his shoulder.
But he's legitimately the most improved quarterback in the country. I couldn't not. No. Next year it might go to someone at a different position, but he certainly earned his own award this year.
And he can't win it next year. I don't think it's physically possible for him to improve his grade to 120 would be what his grade is necessary. Like, I don't know what was 83 grade this year, right?
Doubting him.
All right. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Yeah.
If he goes and wins a Heisman next year, we're gonna give it to him again. He's gonna win it again.
Oh, Jake Retzloff winning the Jake Retzloff Award. We got to get him back on the show again. But that does it for the 2024 PFF College Football Awards. Let us know in the comments below what you think about our awards, who you would have given some awards to, whether you agree or disagree with them. Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe to the channel for more videos, especially our playoff previews coming out very soon. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.